Hi, I'm Nancy Akavon.
And I'm Nancy Fry.
And we're here today to talk about our book, This is Balanced Literacy.
We're very excited. Doug Fisher is a co-author with us as well, but we're very excited to be able to talk about the many different ways in which literacy becomes a balanced literacy approach in elementary classrooms. It's come so far since those early ways in which we thought about balanced literacy instruction. It was either whole language or phonics. Remember those days?
I remember those days.
And it has gotten much more sophisticated and nuanced in the decades since then.
The idea of balanced literacy has been with us for a couple of decades. As far as I can tell, as far as I can remember, the idea of balanced literacy was introduced in the reading war days. We're having a war between how much phonics versus kind of how much whole language we should have in a classroom. And there was a lot of debate on this with people on either side. And the balanced literacy movement was an attempt to say both are important. We have to develop student skills and we have to develop their love of literature and to learn to read in authentic ways. And they can't be seen as competing priorities as children learn to read.
Balanced literacy has so many different definitions. I think traditionally it's been thought of as being a mix between reading and writing, and certainly there's a connection and there's a relationship there. But when we think about balance, we also think about other elements. For example, what is the division between how much time students are spending in dialogic instruction versus the kind of teacher modeling that they need versus independent learning? That's another way that we can think about balance.
Nancy, I agree. I think another way we can think about balance is a whole group to small group. Students need whole group instruction, but if they're not receiving small group instruction, then they're not receiving help on needs that they have specifically.
Another element around balanced literacy is thinking about the kinds of texts that they have available to them and the kind of text that they're composing. We want children, of course, to be engaged with narrative forms of writing and of reading, but we also want them to be able to read and write to be able to gain information, and we want them to be able to state their opinions in their writing and also be able to understand when opinions are being utilized in the text that they're reading as well.
And I think a new part or a more modern way of thinking about balanced literacy is we've really added in the thinking. So it's reading, writing, and thinking about text that you're reading and about text that you're creating.
In most classrooms, reading gets a huge amount of the instructional minutes and writing gets very little. One of my colleagues said to me years and years ago, every writer can read, but not every reader can write. Because we're not spending enough time helping kids compose and learn to compose and be taught to compose. And today, for most people, balanced literacy is about the instructional repertoires that teachers use. So you have your whole class instruction, your small group instruction, perhaps your collaborative learning with students, and certainly your independent experiences for kids. So today, for most people, balanced literacy has to do with things like shared readings and guided readings and independent readings and those kinds of things. Yes, all the literacy processes are important. We want phonics and phonemic awareness and fluency and vocabulary and comprehension and oral language and writing. All of that is important in balance. Informational texts are important, so are narratives. Direct instruction, dialogic instruction, important. Writing, reading, important. And how you structure time in the classroom has to be balanced. It can't be all teacher control and it can't be all student control. We have to balance that teachers sometimes are modeling, sometimes students are collaborating, sometimes they're being guided, sometimes they're doing things independently. So the idea of balance is to find that just right balance that allows every single kid to achieve their potential.